To Dr. Michael Morbius.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Woo! Are you drinking Kahlua?
It's the only shooter I had left. And welcome back to Podland. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ian McEwen, alongside my buddies here, Nick and Jason. What's up, boys?
What's up, bro?
It's Morbius,
well.
baby.
It's Morbius.
Morbius week.
It's Morbius week. This is episode 5, and you guessed it, we're talking about Morbius. Yeah,
The doctor. He's in.
for the pod.
The doctors
For the pod.
for the pod.
Yeah, good to be here. Another week, and another.
Special week, right?
It is a special week. It's Masters Week, one of the best weeks of the year, and you know what better to celebrate than tell you guys that I'm officially going on tour,
Oh, nice. He's in.
and
He's in.
we are officially starting our YouTube segment this week. So, hello YouTube. And these are your newest faces to the platform. We hope that some of you can take the time out of your busy, but probably not too busy days to sit at home, turn us on. Or, I mean, not turn us on, but like turn the TV on.
I mean, well, hold on, Ian. Let's
sorry.
Don't tell him not to.
I'm going to take a step out of this one.
No,
Kind of let you guys.
no. I'm inviting you guys in. But yeah, take the time, turn YouTube on, watch us. For me, I love watching podcasts on YouTube. I think it's great seeing the hosts interact with each other and laugh. And I hope the audience gets the same, results out of watching us. And I'm excited about it. So I think it's great. I think we all look great. First of all, you guys look stunning today. This is the first time I've ever seen your faces. I can't believe it.
It's true.
So
Yeah, ring light will do a lot for you. I look 5 years younger. I look 15 right now.
yeah, wait. Are you sure that you should have taken that that drink that you took at the beginning?
Hold on. This math isn't adding up.
What are you going to do?
Well,
It's Morbius week. It's chaos.
it's also Masters Week. It's M&M Week. Masters and Morbius. Master Morbius at your service.
Are we sprinkling some money on Tiger to win or what?
Oh man, no. I'm just at this point. I'm sprinkling money on him playing. I just want him to play. So
I just want him to play too. I think if he makes the cut, that would be a huge win. I think he will play, but I'm not sure he's going to play well enough to even make the cut.
yeah, and I'm not.
I'm stoked either
I'm
way.
not looking for him to win anything or even place in the top 10. I just want him to play. I just want him. I just want to, have the camera pan over to him hitting some balls, chasing the little white ball around. You did that yesterday, Jason. How was that?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it was good. Did it. I really love golf. I usually play in the summers a couple of times a week. Dude, I haven't played in like 3 months.
Yeah.
So it was a little rough out there. It was a little rough.
So it was your opening round of the 2022 season. Nice.
Basically, yeah. Had a tough front nine, shot a 47, but I shook off the rust and got a little loose in the back nine and shot a 39 in the back. So
Wow.
I would kill to shoot a 47 in any of the nines.
Front or back. Doesn't matter which nine.
yeah.
No, I think I'm going to try and get out sometime within this month. I'm hoping with Michigan weather allowing. I know.
Yeah, it snowed today, so who knows when we'll be able to golf.
Actually, it snowed up in
Yikes.
Lansing, but it didn't snow over here in Kalamazoo. So it just rained a lot.
Well,
so
I'm the cursed one out of the three of us.
Nick sent me
This one might be a shock to you guys, but it's not snowing here. I'm looking out my window and it's sunny and about 70 degrees. So I hear it's actually going to get up to 86 this week.
Okay. Well,
I hate my life.
do you hear somebody talking, Nick? So I don't hear somebody talking.
We should be able to mute mics on this podcast.
Yeah, that's honestly what we need. Well,
A mute button.
branching to kind of sad news.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is stepping away from acting due to a diagnosed aphasia, if I'm saying that right.
I think it's aphasia.
Aphasia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Aphasia.
It's a memory loss.
Yeah. His daughter posted for him. And, you know, with his recent, filmography, maybe it's a testament to, like, this disease that he's been diagnosed with. But, I mean, other than that, I think he's got a stellar career.
For sure.
The 80s, 90s, and like early 2000s, like there was a 3-decade run that he had.
Yeah, I mean,
where he was like the movie star.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say he stole the show. In my favorite film of his is, he's got a very small-ish role in this film, but Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
He's
so good.
He's standout in that, and just a great guy overall. I love Bruce Willis. So
it's always sad to see an icon retiring. When Daniel Day-Lewis retired, it was like a bummer. It was a huge bummer.
Yeah.
I remember his last movie was Phantom Thread, and I watched that last movie. It was kind of a sad watch just because you knew, I'm watching the last film from this guy.
Yeah,
now,
I think
I'm not saying Bruce Willis is Daniel Day-Lewis by any stretch, but he's obviously an iconic actor.
And he's just,
so it's always sad to see.
Yeah, and he's just an enjoyable guy. Like there's nothing more to say to that. When we see his face on the screen, we're like, yeah, this dude rocks. This dude kicks butts all day long.
I have a tradition in my family where we watch Die Hard on either Christmas or Christmas Eve, one of the two, depending on when I can get to my parents' house now. And it's
my favorite Christmas movie.
It's my favorite. It's the best Christmas movie, and we are a Die Hard is a Christmas movie podcast first and foremost. But yeah, an underrated one of his roles, I think, as well, is his role in Moonrise Kingdom. He is delightful.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Yep. Man,
really good in that one. I think my favorite is probably a newer one of his filmography in his career. I actually love Looper. I think Looper's fantastic.
Great.
Looper's awesome. Yeah.
And I think it's especially good because I think in the last decade and a half, he's really phoned it in for the majority of his roles. I think all the movies we think of him being in terms of his greatest hits were many years ago.
Well, there's his recent run where he's been doing like 20 movies a year. It's been like kind of an open secret / rumor that he's been taking those roles because he gets like $1 million payday to show up for like 20 minutes.
Yep.
And he's been like setting that money aside for his family to like when he retires. So like they're definitely Redbox C-list movies. And if you watch any of them, he's definitely like phoning it in, but he's getting a payday. He's showing up, getting a payday. And now with this recent diagnosis, I mean, it kind of makes sense that he would want to do as many of those $1 million little shoots as he could to at least set aside for his family.
Yep.
No, it's totally honorable.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes total sense. But even within that honorable decision that he made, he did have a couple really great movies that he did do. And so I think Lupa is in that time frame, and I think it's fantastic. It's one of his best. I think Rian Johnson and Joseph Gordon-Levitt probably breathed some life into him during the making of that movie, and so that was a really good one.
That's a hidden sci-fi gem right there, is Looper, and
big time.
That one definitely stands out in, I think, Bruce Willis's filmography, and I mean, he'll never listen to this, and nor will his family, but I wish him all the best, and I could say that on behalf of all of us.
Totally.
And I hope that he can find some peace with his family. Let's move on to this new Top Gun Maverick trailer. How about that? I just saw it for the first time last night before
Did you watch it before Morbius?
Yes.
Did it play in the theater?
It did.
We had very different trailers for Morbius then.
Wow, first of all, something huge was revealed in that trailer, which is awesome. I'm very excited about it. I don't know about you guys, because I fly planes. I really do fly planes.
For sure.
Well,
I'm not sure that's true.
Well,
but okay.
we'll put in a little evidence in here, and let's just hope that neither of my co-hosts Photoshop it. But I'm very excited. What about you guys? Crickets.
I don't know.
Wow.
Am I excited?
Crickets. Jeez.
I don't know. Ian, do I look excited?
Yeah, I'm going to steal that hat one day.
Yeah, this movie looks awesome, and it's been delayed, 1,000 times?
Yeah.
Since, like, it was supposed to come out
7
pre-COVID, like 2019.
7 times to be exact.
And now to finally, like, I remember watching the first, like, trailer that they dropped for, like, Comic-Con and being like, dang, that looks awesome. And that memory I have is almost 3 years old. So, like, I have been sitting waiting for this trailer or this movie for a minute. And it looks like it doesn't look as schlocky as, like, the first Top Gun. Because the first Top Gun's, like, it has some cheesy moments for sure. But it's like, this one looks like they just went, Tom Cruise is going to fly 7 different fighter jets and we're going to just film them. And honestly, I'll pay to watch that in IMAX.
I think this movie needs to focus on nostalgia more than anything, because from what we got in the first trailer, we saw a lot of nostalgic shots of volleyball being played, Maverick riding his motorcycle alongside the runway, girls, other dudes fighting each other in weird ways. Jason, what do you think? You excited?
Yeah, I actually saw it the week before. The trailer opened for The Lost City. So I actually watched it.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And, I mean, the trailer looks fantastic. I know that a lot of those shots of those jets were actually, I mean, they're practical. It's real.
Yeah.
And I know it for a fact because my brother's in the Navy. He's stationed up in Anacortes, which is near Washington. Seattle, Washington. And he said that Tom Cruise came up to the base multiple times to film scenes for Top Gun.
That's awesome.
So a lot of those shots are 100% real. And so it looks awesome.
Yeah.
I have something to admit, though, that you both are going to be really
I think I know where this is going.
Oh, boy.
You guys are going to be really disappointed in me. Every single person I tell this to is in shock, and they instantly have no more respect left for me, which is understandable. I have not seen Top Gun.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
I
have.
Right. We need a mute feature on this.
This is the second time I've been muted. Third time, it's a boot.
yeah. 3 strikes and you're out.
That's
surprising.
Are you planning on watching it in the next month and a half?
Yeah, no, I will for sure watch it before I go see
I will.
Top Gun Maverick.
I will say this, Jason. It's a very 80s movie.
Oh yeah,
For
sure.
And by no means should you be absolutely blown away by how good it is. The reason why it's such a popular movie is because it's got a cult following. And
right, it's a cult classic,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, I've seen enough enough clips of the movie to understand what kind of film it is, and then of course, like I mentioned, my brother's in the Navy, so he jokes about it a ton.
Yeah.
So I think I know the type of movie it is. I'm not coming into it expecting Casablanca,
Yeah.
But I know I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it before we watch the second one for sure.
And let us know your thoughts, because I'm intrigued, and I know a couple people, specifically in the aviation industry, that have not seen Top Gun, and I mute them.
Well, that's a shame.
I mute them in real life. So
we're all about the mute button
Yeah.
today. Now, my brother is for sure in the aviation industry. That's confirmed. What isn't confirmed is that Ian Robert McEwen is in the aviation industry and flies himself. Do you actually fly? We got some questions about that in the last episode.
So I haven't flown in a little bit, but
yes,
neither.
okay.
I am licensed to fly. I am licensed to fly in very specific conditions, and
What are those conditions?
it's got to be
Never.
day or night. Doesn't matter.
In the apocalypse?
It's got to be one engine airplane, and it's got to be in clear conditions. That's it. And I can't fly for money yet.
You can't fly by instrument.
No, not yet. That's what I'm working on next. But
we'll believe this when we see
well,
it.
we can put a little picture.
You see,
we can put a little picture somewhere on the screen of me getting my license.
We might. We might not.
If you guys don't,
It won't mean
Photoshop
anything. It won't mean anything to the podcast listeners. Just like Nick's little comment about his hat won't mean anything.
Oh
to the
yeah.
podcast
We can
listeners.
Photoshop that out too.
Why?
Not what I meant, but okay.
It says
Yeah.
says Pod Land on his hat.
Oh, that's it. Yes.
So,
yes. It says pop.
He already got unofficial license merch.
Yeah,
on his hat.
I'm making money off of this, and I'm not sharing it with any of you guys.
Hey guys, let's turn the chapter into something we've been excited about doing for about a week now. Dare I say months?
No,
now?
yeah, months. Months.
Let's say years.
Yeah, years.
Let's say years. We've been really excited to do this. It is time for us to finally review Morbius.
Dr.
Oh, baby.
Morbius time, ladies and
Dr.
gentlemen.
Morbius Michael at your service.
Okay, so Morbius came out last weekend. Morbius stars Jared Leto as the titular character, Dr. Michael Morbius. We have Michael Keaton. I'm just looking at the cast on Google. Michael Keaton is the second name that pops up, which is hysterical. We'll get into why that's so funny. Matt Smith and Jared Harris. Jared Harris, by the way, is fantastic. He's always criminally underused in everything he's in.
If you saying criminally underused, if that is true, then what they did to him in this movie, they should go to prison for.
Yeah. He's barely in this movie. Just like a lot of other people that you thought was going to be in this movie. Not really in it. So, quick synopsis. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. Is that straight from IMDb? Is that real? Is that
I'm gonna pause right there. I don't think it was inadvertent. I think he did it on purpose.
He did.
Yeah,
It was not inadvertent.
He knew what was going to happen.
Come on.
That's the first third.
Have we seen Twilight?
Okay.
Okay, guys. So let me begin myself. Non-spoiler territory here. Just general thoughts, feelings. I'm gonna go first because I think that I have, just from the couple messages the three of us has sent each other, I think I probably have the most optimistic outlook on this movie.
It's probably
But
best to start with you.
I would just start with the obvious. This movie is not a good movie. It's not a movie that I would recommend people to rush out and see. There's a lot of problems with this movie, which is what the bulk of this podcast is going to be about. But I'm going to start with something that you probably won't hear from these other two gentlemen, which is some positives from this movie. I do not believe this movie is as bad and as horrific as you're going to hear these two gentlemen say that it is, nor what you will see on Rotten Tomatoes or any other review website like Letterboxd. I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it is. There is actually a really interesting movie in this. The first half of the movie is actually, I think, quite enjoyable. Through the first, I'd say 45 minutes, I remember looking to my buddy who I watched this movie with, and I leaned in and I just said, this movie isn't bad. Like, I'm enjoying this. This is an interesting setup. They set up Jared Leto's Morbius, I think, pretty interestingly. They introduced one of his friends, who Matt Smith plays, I think, in an interesting way. I think they created an interesting foundation that bonded those two characters together. I think that, this rare blood disorder is quite interesting. I like the fact that he's this leading scientist on a cure, seeking a cure for this disorder that he has. I just think the premise of the movie was really interesting. I like the more dilemmas that it creates now that he is a vampire now who can only survive on human blood. There's an interesting classic vampire more dilemma there. So all of that I thought was pretty good and pretty enjoyable. And that's the end of the podcast. Yep. That's the end of the Morbius.
Yeah,
review.
thanks for coming out, guys. Thanks for coming out.
I'll just finish. I'll toss it over to one of you in a sec. I'll just toss by saying, obviously, this movie crashes like the Hindenburg. All right, it's the ending of this movie is terrible. It takes a complete 180 turn from the first hour to the second hour, or the first 45 minutes to the last hour. Everything that I just mentioned that I liked about the movie, it just completely abandons in the second part of the movie. It just forgets everything it set up. It shattered the foundation it laid, and it just divulged into nonsense, into a CGI love fest, into it turned the characters on its head. They were the dialogue that they were given just was nonsense, and the character decisions that they make no sense. I mean, you watch the second half of this movie in disbelief and in confusion of what you're watching. It just makes no sense. And so obviously the movie crashes and burns. But I just wanted to be the lone optimist, the lone man with some common sense to say it wasn't as bad, but it's not good. With that being said, I'm going to throw it to Nick. Nick, because I think you're on the other end of the spectrum. I think Ian's in between you and me. Give us your review. What do you think?
You said this movie creates some moral dilemmas. And I will counter by saying this movie isn't smart enough to have moral dilemmas. This movie,
it's in there. I'm saying that there's
maybe
a
there
potential
is,
for some
but
interesting moral dilemmas.
Sony edited this movie to hell. This is maybe the worst edited movie I have seen in my, I'm not going to say my life, but it's close. It's definitely making me think about badly edited movies.
You know what's a worse edited movie? The Justice League, the original Justice League.
You know what? You might have gotten me there, but I would rather watch Joss Whedon's Justice League than ever watch Morbius again. Morbius is the worst comic book movie I have seen in theaters since the 2015 Josh Trank Fantastic Four. This is a lifeless, dull slog. It is the longest hour and 45-minute movie I have ever watched.
Hey, Nick, I just want to interject for the audience. Can you just be real with us? Tell us how you actually feel.
Yeah.
Please
Come on,
be
it's
genuine.
Morbius week, man. I know it's April, but it's not April 1st. Come on, man. I'm sorry. We
About to go back in.
Yep. Okay. Brace ourselves. Everybody, brace yourself.
I'm sure there is, like I said, a good movie somewhere. And this leads me to my next point where... Actually, maybe I'll save this for spoilers. I'll save this for spoilers because I don't want... If you are still pondering if you should go see Morbius and Jason and I's reviews haven't convinced you to not, then maybe it doesn't matter. But I'll save that for spoilers. But there is no good performance in this movie that you can fall back on. It's not even bad in a fun way where it's ooh, cool colors. Like Aquaman. Aquaman is the perfect, fun, bad movie.
I would say
where it's
I would say Venom is, honestly.
I don't want to talk about Venom because that'll just get me more upset. The Sony, actually, I'll transition there. Sony doing Venom, Venom 2, and Morbius in a row outside of Marvel it feels like we're back to pre-MCU superhero movies where they don't know what are we doing. It looks terrible. The action in this movie was a lot like Venom, just a CGI slog fest where I don't know what I'm even looking at. There is so much slow-mo that you can tell that they are trying to just squeeze the runtime out of it. Like every little second of slow-mo, you're like, oh, you got an extra 10 seconds out of that.
Yeah.
And then there's like 7 more of those. It's like there are no memorable characters. There is no, I don't know. Everything I want to continue when we get into spoilers because there's more I would like to say that is just so baffling and confusing. So Ian, I will throw it to you for a good middle of the road discussion here.
So yeah, I'm very in between Jason and Nick. I agree in a sense with Jason in saying that this movie is not as bad as I thought it was going to be going into it. But then I agree with Nick is that there's no memorable parts.
There's nothing.
Morbius essentially just like throws itself into its own universe. Like I don't think it's even part of the Venomverse at this point. Like what like
we'll talk about that.
But Jason, I agree with you in the first half. Everything in the first half sold me. I was like, okay, yeah, I can get with this, you know. Michael's got some good intentions. Exactly, you know, what we think seeing the trailer. And what the catchphrase is like the line between hero and villain will be met or something like that. And everything sold me in the first half besides the whole introduction scene. But this movie, like you said, Jason, it just completely goes off the rails. And that's where my Nick half of Morbius comes out. It's like, it's bad enough to where we were like, we could have done without this movie and just been introduced to Morbius on a whim, you know, in a later...
Or never.
Yeah. In a later Sinister Six movie or whatever, you know. I don't think you can really blame Jared Leto for this. And I said, I think in my review, that if you put, you know, maybe a different director, a different writer onto the next Morbius or something, if there's going to be, which at this point I really hope there's not going to be, maybe it can lift his name up a little higher off the ground, but I don't think it's going to save what this origin did for this character. And
it should have been called Snorbius.
Let me play some devil's advocate, because that's the role I guess I have been delegated here in this Morbius discussion.
Yeah, Jason, hit me.
I pointed out very specific reasons that I believed will redeem qualities.
Should we go into spoilers?
I mean, I gave you... Sure, we can go into spoilers.
Spoiler
We
ahead.
can go spoilers.
Spoilers.
If you haven't seen it, which I recommend you don't see it, tune your ears out, go to a theater, and watch it.
Obviously, I'm not here saying it's a great movie, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here a little bit. I pointed out very specific attributes that I thought were redeeming qualities. Can you guys just kind of both went on a little rant on how terrible it is without saying why it's terrible. Nick, give me reasons why you think this is the absolute dog crap of the century, is how you describe it.
Everything, well, not of the century, but at least the last however many years it's been since 2015. 7 years. The last 7 years. This is maybe the worst movie I've seen in theaters. The motivation...
Careful,
of the characters.
Careful, the first Suicide Squad movie.
I would rather watch that.
Okay.
Not a joke.
Okay.
The first half just didn't, it never engaged me. I thought the motivations of the characters and it being paced so strangely, where you start in the present day, and then you go to a flashback, and then you go up but not all the way, and then you go forward again, and it was like so jumbled that I was like, what is happening pacing wise? And
I want to go
like
next.
I mentioned like the editing, and like I didn't think that the motivation and the relationship between Matt Smith and Jared Leto's characters were particularly strong. In fact, I think Matt Smith is maybe the worst comic book villain I've seen, maybe since Enchantress. It's speaking of Suicide Squad. Like he gives such. You can tell he's having fun, I suppose, because he really is like he's being very charismatic. But I didn't care about the relationships. Jared Harris is in this movie. He plays kind of the biochemist father figure between the two boys because they grew up in an orphanage / doctor's office. What was that?
It was a doctor orphanage. It was an orphan doctors.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like a special needs. It was like a special needs thing.
Specifically
for this blood disorder.
I didn't much care for those flashbacks at all. I don't know. I didn't find all of the redeeming things you cited. They just didn't work for me. And like I said, I can forgive a bad movie if it's fun and there's stuff going on, but this movie was an absolute slog and a pain to get through. And I'll kick it over to Ian really quick before we get into some more spoilery stuff about what the hell universe this movie's in.
Yeah, first, I want to say that my biggest gripe with this movie is the poor marketing on its part. But there are questionable characters, such as, oh man, what's the serious detective's name? He was in the Fast and Furious movies. What's his actor name?
Oh, Tyrese. Also, did you see that he got duped by a prank page?
Into thinking what?
Tyrese posted on his Instagram the other day. Someone photoshopped a picture of Martin Scorsese in front of the Morbius premiere, like he was on the red carpet, and the picture said, it was like a fake quote that Martin Scorsese was like, "Wow, Morbius is the height of cinema." Shout out to Daniel Espinosa. I've been wrong. This is truly an accomplishment. And then Tyrese posted that seriously on his Instagram and like tagged the director and was like, "Man, can you believe this? This is unbelievable."
Oh, jeez. I did not see that. And that's the most, this is his character in the Fast and Furious is Roman Pierce, I think is his name. That's the most Roman Pierce like post ever. I just want to get that out of the way. But apparently his character in this Morbius movie was supposed to have a bionic arm. And he was told...
What?
Yeah.
What? No. What are you talking
about? That is real. And he was told...
Winter Soldier?
Like he has a bionic arm in the movie?
Yes.
No, that's not... They didn't reference that
No,
at
they
all.
didn't. But he was told that before they shot anything. And I don't know how much they manipulated the script, but that's what he was told. But he seemed like a character that you would think would come back, but they just did nothing with him. You know, each scene that
him and the other partner were like the worst comic relief.
Oh God! Like
they were miserable.
He wasn't even.
I can't get past this bionic arm
He's
thing. This like little fact tidbit you just threw in random. I'm like, wait, hold on.
I look it up because he was promised that before taking on this role. And they just gypped him out of it. And, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Sony to be like, yeah, I'm sorry, we wrote that out. But, like, there were moments like that where it's like, okay, this should have been in. Why wasn't it in? You know, there was moments from the trailer that should have been in that we'll talk later.
But once again, adding a bionic arm would make this movie worse. So I'm glad they took that out.
Well,
I think he's right.
I'm sure he's right.
I am right.
I'm just saying. If like, are you
hear
saying that
hear me out?
They should have kept a bionic arm.
Hear me out.
On a
That's
cop in the movie.
The difference
like, would that
between
make,
good and
would
bad.
Would that heighten this movie at all?
Well,
like,
no, I think in terms of, you know, and we'll get to this in a second here, of future. You know, I don't know if he's supposed to be a special character in the comics or whatnot, but obviously, if they were going to give him that. And if he was going to be if he was going to have any shot at taking Morbius down, it would have been because of a bionic arm. But, you know, if they could have added his character at the end, you know, in a post-credit scene and be like, hey, like, you slipped past us. Like, we know it wasn't you that did those murders. Like, maybe we can, I don't know, do some good or something like that.
Here's my bionic arm. Let's
Yeah, exactly. Let me throw you.
You're losing me.
I'm sorry. You're really but regardless, there was a lot of stuff that I questioned throughout the movie. Like, there was one point where
where's the bionic arm?
Yeah, exactly.
Ian said that several times.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a bionic arm on this
Where the
lead
hell
detective
is this arm?
guy.
I just see middle of the movie in the packed theater, just Ian from the back.
Where's the bionic
Where
arm?
the heck is the bionic arm?
No, there was a point where Morbius ran up to a rooftop, and the lead detective was like, "Hold on, I'll be right back." And then he, like, all of a sudden, the next cut was like Morbius.
Him in jail.
Yeah, no, the next cut was Morbius turns around and he's already up on the roof, and like.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did you get up there so fast? Was it your bionic arm? Did you climb up the side of the building super fast with your bionic arm? So, okay, I'm sorry, Jason. I lost you.
I need a word count for the amount of times we've said bionic.
It's gonna be more. Okay,
minutes.
well, I'm not over. It's not over. Just like this movie isn't over. So
You have more to say about the bionic arm?
No, not right now. I gotta think. Okay, let's get into really the biggest gripes about this movie, which are what happened with those post-credit scenes, and what we were gypped out of so much out of the trailer.
Yeah, at what point is a movie's marketing and trailers just false advertising? Because there is so much stuff.
This is the epitome.
Marvel does it, but they do it to keep secrets. So they'll CGI stuff out of certain shots, or they'll change a character here and there. So they do it to preserve surprises. Morbius did it to make the movie worse.
Yeah.
They did it just to sell tickets.
Yeah.
Because in that first trailer, you see the Oscorp building from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which, okay, very strange. There's the scene of Morbius running down the alley, and you can see the Tobey Maguire mural on the wall that says "Murderer."
Yep.
The Michael Keaton Vulture scene
oh man
was changed.
And we got
we'll get into that.
We got so much Michael Keaton in the trailers, much.
Oh yeah,
like
and
stuff,
the scene that was in the trailer wasn't even in the movie.
Well, right, but like what was in the trailer looked 10 times better than what was in the movie.
Oh yeah,
so much better. That would have been perfect.
And then there's the line he says when he is trying to find a new lab, where they're like, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Venom." And in the trailer he says, "Just kidding, I'm Dr. Michael Morbius."
At your service.
If I didn't see the trailer, because they cut that part out, so he just says, "I'm Venom," like really quick, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, and then the guy just runs
so
away.
I guess technically this takes place in the same universe as Venom.
The Venomverse.
The cops, the Venomverse, as we are calling it.
You could call it the Morbiverse.
The cops,
but
the cops at the beginning, those two boneheads, one with a bionic arm, one without, said like, "This is the craziest thing I've seen since that thing in San Francisco," which is where all the Venom movies take place. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame that it got edited so badly.
Yep.
I wonder if all the delays kind of made them re-look at stuff. I wonder. Well, once we get into the post-credit scenes, there is definitely stuff that they changed post Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah,
I think what you guys are doing here, though, you guys, I think, are getting too emotionally tied to this whole what universe is it in. We have to take a page.
Well, no, it's in the
opinion,
Venomverse. It is
the
certain.
The Morbiverse.
Yeah, no,
I like to call it.
Yes, I
Bionic
understand that you're
Armverse.
factually correct. It's the Bionic Armverse. I get it, but we got to take a page a little bit out of what Warner Brothers is doing, in my opinion. You can go into the Batman, or you can go into the Joker, and you can watch those two movies, and you just don't have to think about any of the other million superhero movies that have come out and that we've been watching. You just go into that movie you forget all the other stuff we've seen, and you watch it for what it is. And that's been extremely successful for them for the last couple of movies. And so for this movie, I went into it the same way because it is a weird situation. Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man and all of Spider-Man's villains. That's why Sony gets to make these movies and Marvel doesn't, which is owned by Disney. And so I knew that, I know obviously more than the average moviegoer, but because I knew that, I was able to just kind of turn off the whole, hey, where's this a line in the MCU kind of thought process, and I just watched it for what it was. And so a lot of people are up in arms about, well, where is this in the MCU timeline? Is it connected to the MCU? Yada yada yada. And I think if you dwell on that sort of thing, you're inevitably gonna dislike the movie.
Well, we're dwelling on it because they marketed it that way.
Okay, yeah,
that's
and
not
that's,
our,
that's
like,
what I was. That's what I was
that
going
was
to
my
say.
like our confusion. It, like, sure, that's fine. I also went into it with an open mind and I thought it was piss poor, but they marketed it in a way that could, like, this is the worst offender of it, like a movie being sold like a bag of false goods that I've seen in a minute. Like, it's
Jason, to your point, I was going to agree. Like, yes, you have to go into these movies and be like, okay, like, is this connected to something bigger, like multiple movies? If it's not, then yeah, keep an open mind. Or if it is, still keep an open mind. But when you advertise it and like that, you brought up the Batman. If the Batman showed Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in a random shot in the trailer, you're like, okay,
that's a good point. Yeah, for sure. That's valid.
But you're also right into thinking, okay, and I tried so hard to be like, okay, I got to think of this movie as a standalone. Like, I always go into these movies and be like, okay, I always get my mindset and like, okay, this is the first Sony Marvel movie I'm ever seeing. Like, how is it? Standalone. And then once the post-credit scenes arrives, then I go into MCU mode. I'm like, okay, now how is this going to be connected into other ways?
So let's transition there. Ian, give us the breakdown of the two post-credit scenes.
Okay, the first one was atrocious. I guess what Doctor Strange did at the end of No Way Home doesn't make any sense here.
No.
It doesn't.
It breaks the rules of that.
Yeah, it does. And what happens is, in this jail, I don't know what the prison is called.
It's probably the same jail he was in the MCU.
Okay.
At the end of Homecoming in that post-credit scene.
What's his character called? I completely forget.
Adrian Toomes.
Adrian appears in this random empty cell in a prison, and it's being broadcast on the news as, oh, this random man appeared in this empty cell in a prison, and that's it. That's all he says is this witty comment like, oh, I hope the food's better here. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not going to question what just happened?
Well, yeah, because they released him because he appeared in a jail cell that was previously empty.
Well,
so
no, but I'm just talking about the comment. Like,
yeah,
I'm. This next one is atrocious too. It's Morbius leaves the city, goes out into this random country road, and he meets Adrian in what appears to be a little different version of his Vulture suit.
It looked like it was souped up a bit.
Yeah, which don't know where he got that from. But he was like,
yeah,
hey,
because that suit in Homecoming was built from like Chitauri tech from the first Avengers.
And there's no Chitauri in this universe. And
no, but there is Venom. Maybe his suit is powered by Venom.
Oh yeah, it is the Venom Bionical Morbiverse.
Yeah, just combine those two things, you have that suit.
3 things actually.
Yeah,
and they basically are like, hey, I don't know you either. Let's work together, And we don't know if that's for good or for bad. I don't know if Adrian is like, or Adrian says, oh, I think this is something to do with Spider-Man, Which, like, yeah, you have a grudge with Spider-Man, but like,
Yeah,
are you after Spider-Man or are you after the world at this point? Like, what's going on? So
because if they make him angry at Spider-Man, that completely nerfs him at the end of Homecoming, who wouldn't give up Spider-Man's identity and was okay with him because he saved his daughter in Homecoming.
Now, what Spider-Man? I have no idea. I know it's not going to be Tom Holland. I know Tobey is done being Spider-Man. So is it Andrew Garfield?
Andrew Garfield's going to get the short end of the stick here, and he's going to be thrown back
which is so
Sinister
unfortunate
Six
because
movie.
this, and I really hope Andrew Garfield just doesn't do it. Honestly, I hope he looks at Morbius, and it's like, no, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm sorry, you got to recast for Spider-Man, and I don't want to be a part of this.
I don't think that Andrew Garfield is dumb enough to associate himself with kind of what Sony's doing right now. It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't think he would. But,
Jason, how do you feel about these post-credit scenes?
Yeah, they make no sense.
No.
They're really dumb. There's no way around it. I can't even attempt to put an optimistic swing to it. It's the post-credit scenes are ludicrous. I mean, they just make absolute no sense. So I'm in complete agreement. It goes against everything they set up at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, and
because the rule was
and beyond that, Morbius's character once again completely shifts. You know, when Vulture's like, "Hey, I showed up out of nowhere," has to do with Spider-Man. I think, first of all, how do you know that? How do you know it has to do with Spider-Man? You were just sitting in a jail cell, and then you transport it to another universe, and your first thought is, it must have been the little teenage boy who flings around.
I think ever since he got put in jail, he's just been like, I need to get revenge on Spider-Man. So I think that's his first, go-to.
But that goes against what he did at the end of Homecoming.
It's still objectively stupid. And then he has a brand new suit. Where did that come from? Like his suit transport over?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of him having that suit was from like the alien technology that he swooped up after Avengers 1. So it's like, that makes no sense.
See,
the thing that I hated the most of the whole sequence in the post-credit scenes was when Morbius just looked at him and was like, sure, sounds interesting. I'll be evil out of nowhere. The whole movie was you fighting that urge and killing your best friend because he was evil.
And this
what are we doing here?
This is what Morbius needed, was a in-movie small scene with Adrian. He just needed that scene that was in the trailer. It just looked like they were in passing. I don't know if Morbius was going to see somebody in jail or if Morbius was being put in a jail cell in the same prison as Adrian.
Yeah, I don't know.
Post Adrian, Doctor Stranging into this universe. And they get to know each other over lunch or something like that in the prison. And then, and then at the end.
Hold on. I want to put together notes for the director from Ian. Note 1, add more bionic arms. Note 2, can we have the criminals have lunch with each other in prison? Can we slide that in the script somewhere?
It's got to be small. I know it kind of would have been like a Barry Keoghan Joker scene where it's like, no, you didn't need this in a movie. Yeah. But Morbius did. That's the thing. Is Morbius did, because what gets people excited about these movies is them connected to a universe. Okay? And people hate it when I say that because, they're so done with the MCU, and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of marveled out as well, but I can't lie that it does get me excited about this kind of stuff. And if they just had a small interaction over lunch, just been like, hey,
what about brunch? What if they had brunch together? Do you think?
What about tea time? How about tea time?
I'm just gonna stop talking at this point now. But yeah, can we talk about how this breaks what Doctor Strange did in No Way Home, just for a quick sec before we move on, because I think we've covered everything about Morbius here.
In No Way Home, you could only be brought to that universe because you knew Peter Parker's identity. Like, that was the main crux of the spell. and instead it sent someone from that universe where Tom Holland's Spider-Man was out.
Yeah. Which, nope.
Not how that works.
Nope. So I don't know if there was a wisp of purple that we missed in the background of No Way Home, of it going through the crack.
Oh, those are the Morbius cut.
The
Zack Snyder's Morbius cut.
The more you think about it and the more you try to make objective sense of it, the more frustrating it's going to be. It doesn't make any sense.
This is one movie, and I hate the whole argument of like, ooh, we need more R-rated superhero movies. This is one I think would have benefited from an R rating, because this is the bloodlessness vampire movie I've ever seen. There is no blood at all.
My favorite part about the blood, my favorite part about the whole blood thing, is in the movie they have this artificial blood that Morbius had created.
He's just
and it's
shotgunning.
Blue. It's like blue, and he's shotgunning this blue slope. I mean, it looks so stupid.
Yeah,
every time it's the same motion.
I will say the sound that it makes is very satisfying though. It's like a sound.
And it was
like when he squeezes the bag.
Yeah, he went for the artificial blood at first, like in the lab, and I was like, have you ever consumed that ever? And he just downed it. He downed like
he didn't even
12.
try injecting it. He was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna drink this.
Yeah, but this guy has seen Twilight. He sees what Edward does.
He's like, maybe if I concentrate hard enough, I can become a wolf.
Yeah,
you know?
the fight at the end between him and Matt Smith too was like, it was
Now,
like
Jason,
two mini fights.
Jason, you liked Matt Smith in this.
No. I gotta clarify.
Oh.
I liked the
Bionic
setup
arm
that they gave him. I like the setup that they gave Matt Smith. I like Matt Smith as an actor.
I do too.
Matt Smith became utterly useless,
and now he became a Targaryen
in the second half.
His vampire face looked worse than most like video game cutscenes.
Yeah, it didn't look good. But more than, again, I'm not so much concerned about. I mean, the big piece that we haven't talked about is how terrible I think the CGI was. They just chucked a ton of CGI at this thing. Well, I felt you would have benefited so much more keeping this way more grounded, a la, the Batman, than throwing a CGI fest at the thing. But I don't care so much about his rendition of his face. I care more so about the plot line behind his character, the motivation behind his character. And it didn't make any sense. He all of a sudden, out of nowhere, turns on his childhood best friend and just decides out of nowhere, I'm going to kill you. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, we talked about. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
One thing I made a mental note of this during the movie. The score of this movie sounded exactly like Hans Zimmer's The Dark Knight score. Like, exactly. There's one scene where Michael's in the lab and he like goes into the bat tube and like stands up with all the bats.
I did think about Batman in that scene. The
score sounded like they like just threw it in. Like they forgot to take it out or something. It sounded identical to Hans Zimmer's.
I think what happens in those situations, I know that directors will attach like I don't want to say source material, but like reference songs to scenes that they want the composer to write a song that's similar to this sounding. So I bet you in that scene, the director was like, hey, I don't even know who composed the score, but hey, whoever you are, composer, can you do a song similar to this? And the composer probably just took that way too literally.
I was like blown away at how similar it was. Like it sounded almost beat for beat. I'll find it on Spotify and send it to you guys.
Ian, what you were gonna say? Some last thoughts? We should probably wrap up our Morbius discussion here a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about quickly Adria Arjona's character. She played the basically Morbius' second hand in the whole thing. I forget what her character name is.
Bancroft something.
Something
Bancroft.
Yeah, Martine. Martine Bancroft. Let's talk about that death scene that she had real quick. I mean, what was that? She bit his lip, drank his blood, and all of a sudden she is now a vamp human?
Yeah, they cut to her really fast right before the credits of her, like, coming back awake again.
I saw her dying, and I was like, she's not dead. She's not dead. This would be a Morbius thing to do if she would come back to life at the end.
Like any human being on Earth, she was saved by the power of Jared Leto's blood. If you drank Jared Leto's blood, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Honestly. That's true in real life as well.
Give me Jared Leto and Blade Runner, and I will drink all of his, every ounce of his blood.
He doesn't, that scene is dumb. I don't mind her character, and I don't mind the setups to any of these characters, but she, a lot like Jared Harris's characters, I felt like the actors did a fine job, but the material they were given was just terrible. And that's the whole thing too about Jared Leto and Matt Smith. I don't think Jared Leto is a bad actor at all. I think he's a really talented actor, and I really like Matt Smith.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything of Matt Smith, but
classically Doctor Who,
Yeah.
I just think they were given obviously terrible material, and they did the best of it that they could. I am not going to knock it for the acting, other than the two cops. The two cops were terrible, but everyone else, I can't knock it for the acting. I just think that the writing was horrific.
All right, let's close with this. Let's give No Time to Die and any other movie that has been delayed horribly. Let's give them a lot of credit because, I mean, this movie was delayed a lot, and it just did not live up to,
You would think with all that extra time, they could have been like, hey, our movie stinks. Can we do something about this? And what were you guys' letterboxd scores? Ian, give it your letterboxd score.
I gave it a 1.5. And I will say this: a part of my review was a person legit fell asleep in the IMAX theater while I was watching. I was like, is there a noise that's a part of the soundtrack? And I look over, and this man is snoring out loud.
That's the power of Michael Morbius, baby.
1.5 for
Nick,
me.
Surely you can find a little bit of sympathy deep in your heart, a little
half
bit of
a star.
and
okay.
Half of one
All
star.
Right.
I'm giving it a worse score than the Rotten Tomato, which is currently at like 16%.
It's
10% for me.
It dropped between yesterday. It was at 2 on Letterboxd. It dropped from that to 1.9 via the Letterboxd sheriff right here. If Nick hasn't mentioned it already, it's now at a 1.9. So, and it's probably dwindling down even more. Jason, what about you?
Guys, I gave it an optimistic 2. I gave it 2 stars, 2 full stars, because I thought there were redeeming qualities in both the foundational plot lines that they set up, in the characters that they set, in the acting, in the interesting premise, and the broad idea of the film. I thought it was interesting. It was enough to warrant 2 stars. I thought about doing 1.5, but I went with 2 because I was feeling pretty optimistic. This is pretty funny because I'm usually the harsher critic of the three of us.
Yeah, the roles have completely switched.
Yeah, you gave me so much crap for giving Uncharted 2 stars.
Yeah, no, that movie.
You gave me crap for giving it 3.
Dude, I would watch Morbius.
Oh, no.
Don't
say that.
Okay,
don't say that.
No more.
I'll end with this. If you want to watch a good vampire cinema thing, go watch Midnight Mass on Netflix. That's all I got to say.
I heard good things.
Nick, can you clean us up?
Yeah.
Literally, like physically, because
I'll be over in a second.
I'm pretty dirty. So.
So boys, first episode of Moon Knight came out this past week.
Speaking of Marvel.
Yeah, speaking of people who know how to. Well, actually, I'm not going to say that because this is a Disney Plus show. People who sometimes know how to make comic book movies cohesive and flow.
Jason, have you watched it?
Oh yeah. I watched it.
Okay.
I watched it the day after, I think. I liked it. I thought it was a really solid first episode. I'm semi-newer to Moon Knight. I just recently got a couple of his comics within the last month. So I historically don't know a ton about the character. I thought it was really cool. Oscar Isaac does a great job. Ethan Hawke is a compelling cult leader type. My only gripe with it, and it's hard to nitpick editing and pacing when we've only seen one of the 6 episodes. So I'm sure once all the episodes come out, we can give it an overall review, because that's been kind of my issue with the Disney Plus shows, is they are on the shorter side with being like 6-ish typically, and even that is a little too long. Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki, I thought could have been a little shorter. Hopefully this isn't the case. Hopefully each episode builds off the previous. The only thing I did not like in this episode was the CGI looked a little wonky at certain points, like comically bad. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid episode. What'd you guys think, Jay?
I think this first episode was fantastic. I thought it was superb. You guys, I think I've talked on the pod already about how much I've disliked the Disney Plus shows. I think they, for the most part, have really been big misses, both on the MCU side and on the Star Wars side.
Well, just Boba.
Well, yeah. Fine. I mean, the redeeming shows are Mandalorian, of course, and I like WandaVision. But other than that, I just haven't been a big fan of these shows. I knew nothing about Moon Knight. So even less than you, Nick. I knew nothing about the character. It's a really obscure character. Ian's excited to start talking about it. But I came in blind, and I was blown away. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the writing was superb. I thought Oscar Isaac, I mean, it felt like Oscar Isaac was going for an Oscar nomination in his work on this. Like, he was going all in. Yeah. You like that pun there? You like it?
Yeah.
Like,
it was kind of like James McAvoy in Split a bit, where he has those different identities.
Yep. The way that he was able to switch back and forth between personalities was incredible, and I'm so excited to see more of that. Yeah. Again, the premise is really interesting. Old Egyptian, history, archaeology, Egyptian gods. Like, it's just super intriguing. I thought it was a great first episode to hook you, and I'm super excited to see the rest of the series. And I wasn't this excited going into it. I mean, I was excited to see Moon Knight, but because of my disdain for the Disney Plus shows, I had some hesitations. But I'm fully hooked. I'm fully hooked. The only con of the episode is what Nick said. There's one particular scene, the chase scene, really bad CGI, but I get it. I mean, it's a TV show. They don't have the same budget. My only gripe about or constructive criticism would just be towards the director. Hey, if you know you have a small CGI budget, don't put in this big set piece where you're calling for a bunch of CGI work. It's not going to come out well. So they could have filmed that scene with way less CGI, and it could have worked just fine. They didn't need it. It was an unnecessary CGI. But the CGI on some of the other things, I don't want to give away the episode, but there's some characters in the movie that are CGI that I thought was fine, because they knew how to work a low budget CGI scene into the series, which is lowly, dim lit rooms, and like there's different things you can do that you can get away with low budget CGI. The broad daylight car chase was not one of them. That was whatever. But this episode as a whole, I liked a lot.
Yeah. Ian?
I liked it, and I think it's a very promising show. I think the aspect of it being more of a thriller type show is exciting, and what Disney Plus needs as a shakeup to its Marvel show, library. And you're right, Jason. Oscar Isaac gives a very stellar performance in this. And from what I understand, I'm just as versed as you are, Jason. I didn't know anything going into the first episode. Nick is the only one that has grabbed comics off the shelves. But from what I understand, Moon Knight is going to have 3 different, personalities or characters per se. And it's so excited to see and explore what, Disney Plus and Marvel do with that.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar Isaac, I've always been a fan of Oscar Isaac, and I think he's perfect for the role. And I think this was a great pilot, and I'm very excited. Very, very excited. So, looking forward to Wednesday.
Yeah, really quick. You guys been watching, reading, listening to anything this week? Any recommendations?
Yeah, I watched Encanto for the first time this past week, and it was good. It was good. It was I felt it was on the same level as Luca almost. And I don't know if you guys have seen Luca, but I think it's good. I think it's worth a watch.
Why aren't they releasing these Pixar movies in theater? It was Encanto Pixar?
Yes, I believe you're right. I
They
think
haven't been releasing any of these movies in theaters. Like, and then there was that Panda movie too. I forget what.
Turning Red.
Turning
I haven't
Red.
seen Turning Red yet, but I don't know. I don't know if it's the concept of, oh, this is, a children's movie. Let's, children aren't going to want to go into a theater and sit for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know. I can't answer that, but I mean, I can't name a person that I know that doesn't have a Disney Plus access. So, and Disney's really complicated with how they pay crew members and whatnot. The whole thing with Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow, but I think it's worth a watch if you guys have some extra time, if you want to watch it. And then the other thing, I just watched Incredibles today. Rewatched Incredibles. Speaking of Disney Plus,
You're on a Pixar kick.
and my review on Letterboxd is actually pretty funny. I said The Incredibles walked so Morbius could crawl. Honestly, that just should not have been made. So
Just another random, uncalled for stab at Morbius.
Okay. Yeah. And one more thing is I watched Halo episode 2, and it's about.
I heard he takes his helmet off a lot.
And at this point you can't even gripe about that because it's going to be the basis of the show for the rest of the season. But it's about on the same level, if not a little slower than episode 1, and we'll see where it goes. But
Cool.
right now
Jay?
I'm very neutral ground on Halo. So
Jay, anything?
I haven't been consuming a lot of content the last week or two outside of the shows that we've been reviewing. Obviously, I'm keeping up with HBO's Winning Time. So the new season came out Sunday night. The new episode came out Sunday night. Really good. I'm really hype on that show. I know, Nick, we don't have to get back into it, but I know, Nick, you're not.
I actually watched a couple more episodes of it. I think episode 2, I think Jonah Hill directed that one. That has been the worst episode. So it's progressively gotten better. I actually just got picked up the audiobook for it. So I'm excited to kind of watch it and
then
hear.
Yeah, listen to the book. But other than that, I have a little guilty pleasure. I'll admit it to the pod. I've been
you've been seeing
watching
Morbius a lot.
yeah, I've been returning to the theater. No.
He's gone back 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm so hesitant.
Where's the
hesitant to even say
bionicle
this.
arm?
Yeah, where's the bionic arm? I'm so hesitant to even say this, but I have been watching a little bit of the new season of Bridgerton on Netflix.
Oh, boy.
Sorry.
Wow, plot twist.
Jay,
Dang.
My
Okay.
roommates will come in and they'll be like, "Bro, what are you watching?" Hey, everyone's allowed a couple of the guilty pleasure shows. Okay?
That's fair. For me, it's definitely Outer Banks. Outer Banks is like top tier guilty pleasure Netflix.
Oh,
stuff.
I've never seen that. Yeah.
Oh boy.
The OC for me. So
yeah, I haven't.
I haven't seen
rewatching
Bridgerton.
Barry. Have you guys seen Barry on HBO? The new
So
season
good.
comes out at end of the month. Been rewatching
haven't.
that before the new season comes out. Better Call Saul comes out in 2 weeks.
I put
And then Ozark comes out at the end of the month as well. So we've got some good TV coming up that we can.
I put
talk
Pennyworth
about.
on my watch list. It's a Alfred Pennyworth spin-off show.
Oh, yeah, I
on
saw that.
HBO. So I've heard it's pretty good. So I put that on my watch list. But guys, thanks for tuning in to episode 5. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. You guys have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to add about the bionicle arm that was just scrutinally
Nope.
ripped out of the movie?
No comments about Bionic arms. Not much at all there. I think the movie we're reviewing next week is what? Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, the new A24. Yep. So
super stoked about that. I know we had mentioned a couple episodes ago that we were going to do like a dual review episode of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Ambulance, but I think we're scrapping that idea and might talk about those movies and passing that kind of a April roundup episode, and instead going to watch this movie, which I am so stoked for because I do not want to see Sonic or Ambulance.
Okay, that's just Sonic slander, and that's unnecessary.
I'll see it because there's the potential of bionic arms being in both of those are very high, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm pumped about this movie next week. It's so far the reviews have been stellar on it, and I'm looking forward to hear every one of you guys reviews, and hopefully you listeners / watchers out there who have tuned in to the first ever Podland YouTube video, we thank you for staying this long, and please share this everywhere. Jason, I'm talking to you now.
Yeah,
share this everywhere.
100% share and like, subscribe, comment, rate.
We'll be
unsubscribe, resubscribe. Go on your grandma's phones, subscribe, resubscribe there. Download every episode.
Leave our podcast on repeat throughout the night. You can fall asleep.
Go to the Apple Store and subscribe on every single one of those iPhones.
You can fall asleep to Nick's soothing voice as he talks about how much he loved Morbius this past week.
Yes.
Dr. Michael Morbius took care of me this week.
So thank you guys for tuning in. And we will be back next week with A24's new Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is Ian McEwen, Jason, and Nick signing off. See you guys.
Yep.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Beat you to it, bastard.
Dang it.